Please be joined at this time by the offensive coordinator at Hillgrove, Coach DeWeese. Coach, thanks. Got you.
Yeah, man.
Finally got you on, man.
Yeah,
Finally got you on.
Glad to be here. I always enjoy when I get a chance to tuning in to listen or watch the stuff you put out. Always pick up some good things, and I know your network of coaches in the state of Georgia and beyond. There's definitely some guys that know what they're doing.
I appreciate it. I've been very fortunate to know a lot of really good coaches. I don't know that I was one, but I was around a lot, and you had to absorb a little. You've been around some good ones too, and you do absorb a few things.
There's no question. And if I don't care who you are and how long you've been doing it, how successful or unsuccessful you've been, there's always something to learn in this game.
Mm-hmm.
It changes constantly. And like you said, I've been blessed. I've been around a lot of good ones, and I've just tried to learn as much as I can. And that journey never stops. So,
yeah, I love that we have the platform that we have now for these coaches, that we just, at least when I was coming up, I can't speak for you, but I would have killed to watch 15 minutes of you talking about this offense. Now it's so much stuff that people like it. It's going to be fine, but I hope people appreciate how easy it is to access the information. You really had to get with a really good coach.
You did. And the thing is, and too, you used to have to get behind locked doors and swear your life away.
Mm-hmm.
Guys didn't want to give everything up. And at that time, when I started, you're meeting at Waffle House to trade VHS and then DVD. And then all of a sudden Huddle became a thing. Right. And the film game changed
everything.
Suddenly doors didn't have to be locked. They just had to be shut to have the conversation. And then before you know it, it's open and social media now, there's so much more access, and it's made guys so much more open. And let's be clear, it's made guys understand they can monetize it, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But that has changed the game for young and old coaches. Because again, it's just created access. And I think as we go, I think more and more people realize there's always going to be some things that you keep to yourself and to your small circle. But what we're doing, we're not much is secret, So there's not a lot going on that we can't talk about to some degree, because everybody else, we're teachers, preachers, and coaches, man, beg, borrow, and steal better than anybody.
Well, and if you get off on a tangent on this, but if you're gonna be down on sharing, then I assume you became a coach knowing everything, because somebody had to share with you. So just one of them rare professions where you try to just kill them on Friday night. I mean, just try to beat the hell out of the other team. But then on Saturday and Thursday and every other day, we'll try to help them out.
Listen, some of week one this year, we face off against a staff that I've got a lot of respect for, and the D-line coach coached with me for 5 years. And we still talk. And don't get me wrong, that Friday night, it's personal. But as soon as that clock ends, man, I want to see his kids, because I hadn't seen them in a while. So that's a real thing. I know. I've been blessed to kind of coach on both sides of the ball and to coordinate on both sides of the ball. And some of the guys that when I was a defensive coordinator that I had to prepare for are some of the guys I respect them so much, because I know what that preparation took for me and for my kids. And those are guys now that I talk to constantly and I lean on to learn from, because that respect is there. And I know that on those Friday nights, I wanted to beat them, and they sure as heck wanted to beat me. But this, the horn sounds, and we're still grown men. We should be able to have relationships and talk and work with one another.
That's right. And in that vein, we're going to talk about transitioning from the summer to the season, which is a great topic, by the way. I appreciate that. I don't make up the topics, but tell us a little bit about it, Coach. Have at it.
I think, first of all, my Twitter, if you don't follow me, you're not going to learn a whole lot on there, but I'll retweet things every now and again. And but I love, like we've talked about, kind of the outlet that Twitter's become and the way that we can absorb so much information. So if anybody that doesn't follow is actually interested, it's there. If I say something tonight you want more information on or anything, hit me up on there, DM me. And we'll go back and I'll make sure that we talk and hopefully I help you as much as I can. When we talk about summer versus season, it's a different mindset. We play a different game in the summer, and we can do all we want, especially in June, to try and focus on, keeping football as close as it's going to be on a Friday night in October, but it's not the same. Physicality is obviously different in the summer. So as we talk about transitioning from summer to season, the physicality of practice has to change, right? 7-on-7's over. The big boys are coming to the party. How are we going to prepare ourselves? And I do think this has changed a little bit over the years, especially as Georgia and other states have started to allow OTAs and padded camps. But even then, how you prepare for those events, I think, kind of mirrors what it looks like as you work into your acclimation period and into the season, in August 1st, when we actually get to put pads on. From a practice emphasis standpoint, our practice on June 10th is going to look a lot different than our practice July 12th, because for us, we have a FCA camp next week, a padded camp that we'll take our kids to. And then we come back and we're in acclimation and we're in helmets. And then the next week, pads are on, and then we're getting ready to scrimmage a good team 2 weeks later. So our emphasis in practice has to change. We start talking more about run game. Special teams has to start going in. If you're this point in the game and you're not working special teams, you have a ton of faith in your ability to either score or defend teams, or you do something really simple where you feel like you can wait. But I know most programs that I've been a part of, we believe in using the summer to start identifying who are the kids that can and will go block a punt. Who are the kids that on kickoff return can be the front line guy that are athletic enough to get the depth and take the right angle. And you can start to learn some of those things in the summer, and it doesn't waste time that you need once the pads come on. I think the other thing about practice emphasis is you start talking about the transition from summer to season is erasing bad habits. Because no matter how much we drill certain things, when there are no pads, certain habits, everybody plays 7-on-7 in the summer, and ball security is atrocious. But the day pads come on, ball security has to be a point of emphasis. Well, don't wait, right? Let that. And listen, there's a lot of coaches that hear that and go, well, we talk about ball security every day. I'm sure you do. But when a kid catches a ball in 7-on-7 and he just reaches out and extends it in traffic, you can't do that when you're about to get hit by a safety as opposed to being tagged up by a safety. And so erasing some of those bad habits and trying to get the kids understanding that importance, I think is absolutely a big deal. As from a defensive perspective, you go from asking a defender to tag off on a receiver to maybe being that second guy there that's swiping the ball and trying to rake the ball away. So again, taking some of those habits out of the 7-on-7 is, oh crap, he made the catch, let me tag off on him. Now that emphasis becomes, let me separate, So I think there's certain things there with the way that you change emphasis in practice, but I think the staff emphasis also changes, right? You start getting into a game planning mentality and mindset as a staff. And I'm not sitting here, July 12th, focusing on our week 1 opponent in any way, shape, or form. But we're at this point making sure that the things we install, that we have answers for, right? We're not going to be working on something that's only going to be good versus one opponent, but we want to make sure that if we're putting something in, it's going to be something that we can try to carry, that's going to build over from game plan to game plan. But I think the kind of piece of that I try to always gauge to some degree in July is I try to throw different things at my kids to see how they will respond to it. We've all been in a season where we say, okay, we need to tweak this week, the way this front plays things. Maybe we need this tag, maybe we need whatever. Find out now what your kids can handle mentally. We always do a really good job as coaches, at least the ones I've been around. We know what our kids can do physically, right? And sometimes maybe we think they're a little better than they are, and then we see them against somebody else, and maybe we don't think they're what they are, and then they go against somebody else and they do well. But mentally, we can, before we put pads on, we can start to evaluate, can our kids handle change? Can they handle that Tuesday at practice where we make a decision that this needs to change? Or better yet, can they handle that second quarter where you've looked at your huddle on the sidelines and says, okay, guys, this has to be a post now. We can't continue to make this a corner route. Safety's playing outside leverage. Let's get to the middle of the field.
I'm gonna interrupt you, Coach.
Go ahead.
I want people to rehear that. Not about the post, the corner, that could be anything. But I think there's a really good piece there that people can gather from this. I hope they can get a lot of things, but this is one thing everybody can get. Coaches are way better at judging physicality of their kids. You're right. They say, oh, this boy can run and hit, or he's more of an offensive player. He's more of I don't think many decent coaches are missing that. That was I don't know if I've ever even heard it said that way, but it's a very astute statement to say that we are bad as a whole at judging what the kids can mentally do. So me and you go in the office and we're going to come up with some ball plays for the season. 95% of the crap we came up with, these kids can't do.
And sometimes they can't do it physically, but sometimes it's about the ability to mentally process. And that's not saying kids aren't smart.
No,
you and I have a passion for this game. We chose it as a profession. We get paid to do it. We leave and we go see our kids, and then we watch football. Mm-hmm. Our kids don't do that. Right. And in this world where they do have short attention spans and they're living on their phones, it is different. We coaches, offensive coordinators have quarterback school in the off season, and they bring their quarterbacks in and they train them up on coverages and they put them on the board and they make them draw. We don't do that with offensive linemen. We don't do it with running backs, receivers, DBs. So the time that we ask them to grasp a new concept and apply it is really short when you think about it.
And that's what I mean. I hope people heard that you are probably overestimating your kids' mental ability. Whoever you are, you probably are.
If you're not stressing your kids mentally and physically to find out when it fails, it's going to fail on Friday night.
Well, that's why I love the statement. That's why I stopped you, because I'm going to let you go in a minute, but I wanted people to stop and listen for a minute if they were kind of half listening to you there. Your ability to be right about your kids' mental capacity. I didn't say the kids aren't smart or the kids can.
That's right.
I'm saying you have to be right on who can do what. If you can figure that out, that's a huge advantage for you. And if you can use the summer, because you don't have to have pads on to figure that out, by the way.
Yep.
To do that, that's a fantastic. I never thought of it exactly like that, but that's a fantastic point. All right, proceed. I'll shut up.
No, it's something that we talk about a good bit in our staff room, and it's not because of me. It's because we have smart guys in our staff room, and we've all. I mean, I spent 12 years teaching English before I got into, or 15 years teaching English before I got into PE, and you think about how kids learn differently. It's the same way learning football. Some kids are natural athletes and they're going to go out and they're going to make decisions and do things just because they get it. Right. And then there's others, they have to see it on the board. They have to be shown an example, and then they have to be shown how to react when it's not exactly like my example, and understanding who those kids are matters. I just like we try to figure out, I said earlier, who can block a punt, find out who can handle change. And I do think that the summer provides us that opportunity. And especially late in summer, as we do start trying to change things up a little bit, and ramp things up. I think the other thing, the staff emphasis is we start to put pads on, is you start to try to figure out durability, right? Especially with young kids or new kids, maybe a kid that had been injured the year before. You put pads on, everybody's going to be sore. But if there's that one kid that every 2 weeks his ankle's bothering him, he's a good player. We got to find a plan to get him the ball. But we also have to have a plan for when that ankle's bothering him, right? And so I think, from the way you script practice, but also the things that you start to really focus on as a staff and identifying depth has to be your depth in the summer is going to look different in October, right? Kids are going to have to change positions. Somebody's going to be injured. Somebody's family suddenly going to move, whatever that case may be. And so the more we can do to understand who can process and accept change and apply change, and then who's going to be durable as we start to put those pads on, I think that's crucial for what we can do. Okay. Specifically, I'm going to talk tonight or kind of focus on from a quarterback standpoint and the guys around him, right? You spend all summer, you're going to 7-on-7, you're traveling around, and you got people that are throwing a ball 2 feet off the ground through what would be the guard's butt. You got guys going 2x2 and shooting a tailback down the pipe, every other play, because they want to win 7-on-7 and they want to compete. They want to be successful. If that's what you want to do, I have no problem. If that's what your kids need to experience success, to learn to win, I get it. But I've also had a lot of respect for guys that don't live in a 7-on-7 world on Friday night, but they use 7-on-7 to get better at what they do, right? We used to always go to, when I was at Milton as a defense coordinator, we'd go to St. Pius for their 7-on-7 tournament. And Pius they were running wing T and triple principles, and it was waggle and it was orbit motion. And that's what they did. They weren't doing a bunch of crazy 7-on-7 stuff. They were making you defend what was going to win games for them on a Friday night. But even then, the quarterback mindset is different, because there's nobody forcing him in a 7-on-7 tournament on waggle to pull up and get the ball out of his hand right now. And so I think with quarterbacks in particular, we see clips all summer long on social media of kids not taking a drop, standing flat-footed, scanning downfield, and at 3.9 seconds getting the ball out of their hand. I've never had an offensive line that allowed me to do that with a quarterback. And so breaking that habit and getting the quarterback back into the mindset of live bullets and what it's going to feel like in the pressure that is the pocket. So, you can spend time, and this is in the summer before you put the pads on, preparing him for for August 1st, right? By making sure you are locked down on his understanding of protections. We can go to a 7-on-7 tournament and we can release 5 guys and never throw a hot route all day long because nobody's blitzing, right?
Yep.
But the day I put pads on,
it's coming out every play.
You better know where the hot route is, right? And so getting the quarterback back to understanding urgency, that we're not living in a 4-second to get the ball off world, right? Understanding your footwork, both, how to in the pocket and how to get out of the pocket, right? Understanding how to create depth in the pocket, how to step up and maneuver in the pocket. Those little things that go by the wayside for so many programs in the summer really, I think by this point, have to be a point of emphasis in what you do. The other thing about 7-on-7 that you have to get out of that 1st and 15 world. So many times on 7-on-7, and I do it when you're at UGA 7-on-7 or Georgia Tech 7-on-7, and you've got 3 plays to get 15 yards. You're calling something on first down that is in that 3rd and medium script on your call sheet from a Friday night. You're trying to get 7 or 8 yards, right? You're taking that shot downfield. But on Friday night, we have to make a profit. And it doesn't have to be a 7 or 8 yard gain on first down. We can live with 4, right? And so getting them out of that 1st and 15 world where they're trying to be ultra aggressive on first down, but understand we just want to make a profit so that we don't go broke. I think all of that is crucial for quarterbacks, but I also think it translates to other positions. And I'm looking at a typo and getting mad at myself on my screen, but running backs have to understand that when you're running the flat now, the ball's coming out quicker if we're getting it to you. He's getting it to you right now because of pressure, right? You don't have time to kind of be lazy getting out there and be late in the progression because we're not getting a chance to go through a full progression a lot of times. We're having to take those hot routes and work our relief routes and get the ball out of our hand. At the same time, at receiver, really, you spent all summer running your routes and that's been great. And you've probably seen a ton of man and you've probably seen a ton of press. How much true cover 2 have you seen? How much true cover 3 have you seen? Do you remember and understand if you have to route adjust versus pressure? Because you probably haven't seen that all summer. So if you haven't been giving those things to your kids, I think adding that and those elements into your practice, very important. Okay. So we have 3 ways that we do that starting now and progress through into August. And so, starting with just traditional routes on air. And guys, this is nothing I created and nothing that is going to, I'm going to tell you makes me some type of a guru. But when we start with routes on air, everybody wants to be efficient, get 3 or 4 quarterbacks throwing balls in the air all over the place. Everybody's catching. But again, at this point, when we're starting to focus on emphasis and timing and understanding protection, I would rather shift the drill to focus on the quarterback knowing where to go versus looks as opposed to just getting balls in the air. So the example I've got drawn up is just a basic 2x2 stick concept. And like a lot of people, you split it down the middle of the field and you give them a zone side and a man side. So one of the things that we'll do with our routes versus air is we'll put a coach, can be me, can be somebody else back behind the queue. And then we'll just load up some guys as defenders. A lot of times, if you're off the ball, these are our coaches. These are guys that know what's scripted, know why it's scripted, know what we need to see. But these guys they're the backup quarterbacks. They're backup receivers. They're injured players. Okay. And we just tell them the goal is chaos. And I'll stand behind them. And if I point to them and give them a specific job, they do that job. Otherwise, when the ball snaps, they're taking a deep breath and they're walking at the quarterback with their hands up. Because again, we want to get used to living and playing in traffic, back to, the other thing that this can give me is back to understanding progression and understanding my hots. If I'm getting a zone look and this guy blitzes from the weak side, I don't have to throw hot off of him. I can still go through my full progression because my protection is going to take him. The flip side of that would be if I were to get pressure to my face and I'm light in the protection there, he needs to know ball's out now. So it's a way for me, very inexpensive, to continue to evaluate how much does he understand about the protection and how it fits into the concept and how it fits in for him. And knowing, if he turns and throws hot off this guy blitzing, I'm going to ask him why. You're not hot. You don't have to throw hot off of him. If this guy blitzes and he doesn't throw hot, I'm going to tell him mama's crying in the stands and because you just took a shot to the face. So it gives us a chance to take from the board to the field, do it in an inexpensive way where he doesn't have to take a lot of shots. We can roll through all of our concepts. We can get into things that are more drop back based, get into like a 2x2 shallow type look. Now we might take one of those guys that was down as a backer or invert, and now he's back at safety. And he knows pre-snap. If I've been told, hey, my alerts, this post by H, if this guy's down pre-snap, then I'm going to peek it. I'm going to be looking for it. And if that coach, is deep, then it's off the page. My progression changes. So nothing changes from what people a lot of times are going to traditionally do with routes on air, right? But adding this little bit of chaos up front. Where here I might tell this defender, I want you to cross face because I want to see the quarterback slide in the pocket, step up, find his route, get it out in rhythm while still going through his read. If I were to tell that the widest guy to cross face, I want to see the quarterback use his evasive maneuver to get out of the pocket and still deliver himself a good ball. So it's a way for me to build in scramble drill. It's a way for me to evaluate his understanding of pressure and protection rules while also getting the ball in the air, making sure our guys are getting where they need to with their landmarks and we're doing what we need to do. The next phase off of that, okay, is our blitz pickup. And we do blitz pickup in the summer. with no helmets on, or with no pads on, right? And when we start in August, we'll continue to do the drill because it's about warming his feet back up and getting set. So, this is a summer clip right here. So we'll put typically what would be our tight end or sniffer and our tailback are going to be attached a lot of times in protection. They're going to get out sometimes. So we're going to bring those guys. Our defense needs to work their pressures. Every defense in America is going to work blitz on cans at some point during the week. Why not let them work it against us? So we'll break the huddle. We'll call the protection, and we tell the quarterback, if you're hot and you have a hot route in the drill, throw it. If you're hot and, like, say the hot's supposed to be an outside receiver running a slant route and that guy's down running one-on-ones on the other end of the field, we'll simulate that hot throw. That's what I need to see, that where the ball's supposed to go and you're moving that arm and setting your body and moving your arm in the rhythm that I need. So we'll line up, like I said, we'll call a formation, protection, and play. And O-line gets a chance to work protection. D-line gets a chance, or defense gets a chance to work their blitz. But I want to see the quarterback. We're dialing it up here. Make him move his feet. Make him get the ball out. Make him take care of himself in the pocket. And obviously, as you get pads on, you don't ever make it a situation where he's taking shots. But we tell our defenders, man, we want you to go rub paint, right? We want some dazed and confused stuff here. Go rub paint with him. Just don't put him in the wall. Because I want him to know I got to get that ball out quicker because I just took a shot, Same thing, just kind of another clip, same drill. I got to see him walk up, adjust his protection if he needed to. Boom. He gets what he needs right there. O-line gets a good look at a bunch of different pressures, and we get a chance to work a couple routes, and we get to see him set his feet and get it out. So we'll do it a few different ways. Like I said, we'll work sprint out in the same look. We'll work bootleg, but here's a great look. This is middle of the summer. We hadn't seen him have to reset and adjust in the pocket of the 7-on-7 competition all summer long. And here he is this week, taking a drop, getting the pressure, evading to his right, stepping up to climb in the pocket. And right now he's triggered that ball enough to show me he knows where his eyes are supposed to be, based on what that concept is, and where he's thinking he's going to need to go with that ball. Sometimes you'll see him, he'll get out of the pocket when he feels the pressure. He'll step up and scramble when he feels the pressure. But that's the other piece, right, with quarterbacks, is they don't get a lot of opportunity to scramble in the summer. This gives them that opportunity. Hey, step up in the pocket and go get me 5 yards, get yourself clean on the deck, and let's do it. Same deal. This is our freshman quarterback working behind some of our varsity guys and a couple of younger guys as well. And we're throwing him to the fire right there. And he's got to understand, I'm freaking hot. I got to get this ball out of my hand right now. And he does a decent job of handling it. But we want to see, how are these kids responding to pressure, both mentally and physically, before we get them under the lights. Kind of jumping forward, and I got some slides out of order because I tend to do that. But we take the same drill, and this is from spring football, and this is what pads on. And I took this from Tracy Malone at Cleveland High School in Tennessee, real good friend of mine, a really good football coach. And, Tracy, when they throw routes on air, they combine routes on air and blitz pickup a lot of times. So we call this routes versus blitz. So our defense will bring their core over, and this will be their blitz period. We don't script it for them. We don't tell them what we want. We let them call their game plan. We call ours, and we want to see our line sorted out. And again, for the quarterback, we're forcing him to move in the pocket. We're forcing him to reset his feet. Sometimes he's got to get out of the pocket. It can trigger a scramble drill for our receivers, but we want to see, can we throw things in rhythm? Can we protect and go through progressions, even though we got this full blitz working in front of us? Want to try to make the game as real as we can for these kids with, in a situation that obviously isn't real. So we'll work that route versus blitz. I mean, here's the same deal. It's the same drill. We're working one of our sprint out concepts right here. Okay. And just wanting to see, how can we handle? We don't know what the defense is throwing at us, but we can coach all 11 players on the field right here. And our defense, our secondary, is still able to go down and work their 7-on-7 or their whatever that they need to be working on the other end of the field, but everybody else has been served. So been a very efficient and effective way for us to handle, kind of speed and play up for the quarterback, trying to prepare him, not just the quarterback, but everybody for when the pads come on, because I really think that transition from summer to season and how you handle it can really be key to your success early on.
Yeah, I think so too, Coach. That was awesome. I love the clips. I loved everything about that. Making it real football. 7-on-7, great. Got to transition into real football. So I hope people got some good stuff on that. It was awesome, man. I appreciate it. We need to have you on again, and we need to make it a more routine thing.
Well, let me know, man. I enjoy talking ball, and I know Lord knows I've reached out to you even before you were doing all this stuff to pick your brain on some things, and some of it I'm still using. So I owe you one. So anytime you need me, you just let me know.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. I appreciate you, and I'm always here if I can help you. Really, good luck to y'all this year.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Take care, bud.
Yes, sir.